Hello and welcome to Keeping It Real, the podcast where we talk to the best people in real estate. And this one, even though I say it every time, is no exception. I'm Chris Willing, the VP of Marketing at Real Geeks. And before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us out. Also, you can leave comments and we will try and respond to all of them. Okay, I'm going to introduce Bob McCranie, who is a killer in the SEO space. And with that, let's get started. Bob, you're a institution now in the Real Geeks world. We interviewed you for the end of year panel, and one of the things that you were talking about during that panel, as well as at ERGUC, the unofficial Real Geeks user conference, is expanding your business into multiple geographies. And so we wanted to get you back on and dive into what's going on in your world. And I got to give like a thing I was thinking this morning, right? And I was telling producer Sean, like, there are industry experts that we talk to that are excellent at playing the game. And I always get the sense talking to you that you're good at playing like the meta game, right? Which is like the next level up that I don't know if a lot of people are aware exists. So, like, with that big compliment out there,
you just made me sound really a lot smarter than I really think I am. But I'm going to leave it there and let people wonder. Playing the metagame. I'm going to reserve that.com. Playingthemetagame.com. I don't know if I'm playing a metagame or not. I'm licensed in the state of Texas, and as most people know, it's a pretty large state, and they have multiple MLSs, and I'm only in one. Why? So I work for a brokerage that is open for me, helping get us into new markets. And I'm a broker myself. When I ran independent for 10 years, and I would join other things, but now I'm team under a brokerage. We work together on this, and so we're part of Houston, East Texas, and Austin. And at some point, I want to have a San Antonio. I want to have a West Texas. I can out advertise the agents who are there and hand the leads off. Most of the people who are getting these IDX websites, regardless of the brand, they want to only advertise the 6 or 7 cities they want to work in. And when I approach them and say, hey, your IDX website in Indiana or Indianapolis has 40 or 50 suburbs, and they're like, well, I don't want to drive to that one or this one or that one, or I don't, first of all, yes, you should, because you don't want to be open to equal housing opportunity lawsuits that you didn't offer your services here or there or that, whatever. But the other thing is, why not refer that out and make mailbox money? If your one IDX has 50 cities in it, unfold the IDX and put it out there. And if you've watched the other episodes we talked about, I like to have links for all the cities that are there, and I like to subdivide those cities into different lot styles and different house styles, and I want to have those links out there because the long tail keyword searches, somebody's going to type in homes in Plano, Texas with a pool. Is Google going to send that person to a site that has a box that says, good luck finding it yourself, or a site that has a link already defined that says, here's the homes in Plano with a pool? So my retirement strategy, long-term psycho craziness, is that I want to have sites in all the different areas of Texas that I can afford and build up to that have all this flushed out, and I'm just going to start handing the leads out. And I may incubate the leads, or I may just hand them, if I have a trusted agent in El Paso or wherever, I may hand them out. And I have a good friend of mine who's over the line in Louisiana. So he has Baton Rouge and, I'm sorry, I think I froze up there. He has Baton Rouge, and he has New Orleans, and he has Shreveport. So, I'm sorry, he has New Orleans and Shreveport. We're going for Baton Rouge and, I forgot the other one. There's another city. So we're going to combine and make it seamless, whether you're searching Louisiana or Texas. We'll just merge our sidebars and just start growing these. And if I can get them in New Mexico and Oklahoma and stuff like that, grow beyond just myself.
So, and I mean, you already said one of the other things that had, I loved hearing when we were talking in person at the conference, which was, you're definitely thinking about like retirement plan and, sort of building the empire. So just to reiterate for people, you were you are building a model that both like locally is going to be, you know, kind of like traditional home selling, as well as a referral business as you expand essentially like the Bob McCranie empire, you know, across Texas and outside.
Right. Texas Pride Realty is licensed in the state of Texas. Why don't I take it up? And also, let's say you're in New Jersey. I think they have at least 3 MLSs in New Jersey, you know, or Brighton, a couple others. Florida has multiple MLSs. If you're licensed in a state, take up the width and the height of that state. It costs a little bit more to join each of those boards. It costs a little bit more to have your site. I tried originally with a different model. I had an Austin site with a different company. I had my Real Geeks Dallas, and I was testing this other less expensive but not nearly as good site in Austin. And it was at the conference where I sat down and I was like, hey guys, help me out here. What could we do? And we made a business plan together. And so I immediately signed up for East Texas and Austin, and I went to dinner with my friend who's in Louisiana that night. And I love to go to dinner with just a blank piece of poster board. I take a medium-sized piece of poster board, and I go to the Office Depot and I buy colored markers. And we sit down and we just kind of free think. You know, just no lines on the page, just free think. And I charted out this whole strategy. And it took us a couple months, and it's still growing. It's not like fully fledged yet, but we're getting leads. Yeah. We're getting leads through New Orleans is already getting organic leads. And
when did you start that site? Because that seems really fast. It was like last October?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're running Bing ads. We're not doing Google ads. We're doing Bing ads, which we can talk about here in a minute.
Yep.
And even before the Bing ads took place, we were getting some organic flow. So I want to have the ads as the search engines see, oh, traffic is going to this site. They will layer in more traffic. They will start, you know, as the flow starts building, they will naturally also start, you know, putting the site out there. I'm going to start getting them indexed and site mapped and, you know, building it up and getting all those links built. I think over Christmas holiday, I worked on all 3 sites. I worked on East Texas, Austin, and then New Orleans. And I just, you know, sat there and built out links, watched my Netflix, had my adult beverage, and waited for Santa.
Okay, and so at this point, I got to put a reference, which there'll probably be like a sidebar somewhere or a link, and Google will suggest it for you. But Bob's other episode of Keeping It Real, where we talk a little bit more in depth about like some SEO strategies, and you mentioned this in the last episode that we had you on, where you know, watch Netflix and build links.
Yeah.
So actually, let's just spend a couple minutes talking about like, okay, so you got 2 new sites, right? Maybe we can just pick one for the you know, case or the example,
Okay.
and say like, you know, what were you doing, you know, to set the good foundation for organic lead flow?
First of all, your homepage needs to be about one city. Okay. So if you're like, I was just helping somebody in Birmingham, Alabama, but he wants to focus on a suburb of Birmingham. Okay. Make it about one city. Don't make it about Birmingham. Tom Ferry will always tell you that the world will punish the vague request and reward the specific ask. Be specific. You can build secondary pages and other pages for all the other suburbs, but don't make it DFW, make it Dallas, and make it Fort Worth, and different pages for each one. Okay. If you're in the Twin Cities, you don't want to be Twin Cities, you want to be Minneapolis, and then have a separate page for St. Paul, not a separate IDX, but a separate page. Being very specific about what your site is about helps Google and the other search engines know what you're doing. If you have a site where all the meta is the same, and I've seen people make this mistake, every page is, you know, the Smith Group serves Las Vegas. It's like showing a home, and every street in that subdivision is named the same street name, and every house has the same street number. And you're supposed to show 1, 2, 3 in Banana Street in the subdivision, and they all say Banana Street, and they all say 1, 2, 3. If you have the same meta on every page, the search engine won't know where to send you. So very specific meta descriptions and separate pages and separate links for every little thing you can think of. That's the basis of it. And the first thing I have to do on every site, I'm sorry if I'm going too far on this, first thing I have to do on each of the sites, because each of the MLSs are different, and Real Geeks can only deliver the data set that MLS gives them. is I have to figure out what data set am I dealing with. Like the New Orleans site will be different data than the Houston site. So I have to figure out what those variables are. Once I unlock that enigma machine of what their data set is, then I've got everything. And I can just start churning pages. But it takes me a day or two to figure out what can I, and I can borrow ideas from Dallas and I can borrow ideas from Las Vegas, because maybe these will match. And sometimes they're hidden and I find them. And sometimes it's just like, hey, their MLS doesn't want to play nice. We only have 16 or 18 links we can do off of each city. And the one for I'm doing one right now in British Columbia, and I got 29 subordinate links off of every city page because their MLS tie-in just gave us a world.
So
sorry, that was probably way too much.
Well, so let me restate what I think the key takeaway there for someone that's like maybe new to SEO is, which is you want a page to have a narrow focus. And
yes.
So you should, for any given page that you're looking at on your site, you should think, what is the purpose of this page? Like,
yes.
Who do I want to find this page and what do I want them to get out of it? Like great
right.
marketing 101 stuff.
Yes.
And then from your site, you need to think about your site as a container for a lot of those topics. So then you're going to build out as many pages as you can for those narrow topics.
Yes. You just said what I said, but in a lot more concise, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I get to do as a host. I just get to try and take that and
so being very specific is good. Being repeating what it's about a couple times so that the search engine sees that this is legit. This is what this site is really about. It's not going to be good if you meta describe it one way and then the site's about something else.
Right.
So just those basic foundations, and then layer in and layer in and layer in.
Okay, so in one of the past episodes, or maybe it was one of the past conversations, you mentioned that you have like other sites that I think you like pay people for reviews and stuff like that. You kind of like do some content generation. So I'm going to kind of maybe get you to talk a little bit about that here because it's a genius idea. But also, these pages, how much like programmatic content is on these pages versus content that you're putting on the page? Like tell us like what your workflow actually looks like when you're doing this.
Okay, for my site, TexasPrideRealty.com, I have a site called Today's DFW, which is what you were referencing. It's a WordPress site, and I have bloggers. I pay them $30 to go eat at a nice restaurant or shop in a nice store. Give me 5 pictures and 2 paragraphs. I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines who takes those articles and posts them for me and schedules them out and puts the SEO into WordPress for me. And then I have an iframe feed into my website so that as you get to my website, you'll see, I want to show you how you're going to live when you get to Dallas. It's not just about, you're going to have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, nice, pretty home. Where's the best place to have dinner? Where's the best place to take your car? Where's the best place to get the dog walk and things like that? So each of my subordinate pages, or each of my area pages for my suburbs and my cities, take that data and only show you the reviews for that city. So if you go to the Carrollton page, you'll see the Today's DFW entries only for Carrollton. If you go to my Plano page, you'll see them only for Plano. And that way, as you're getting a feel for the housing styles, you'll also be like, oh, that restaurant's here. That element is over here. And that's one thing that you can do easily with Real Geeks because you have a lot of programmatic access, which a lot of brands don't give you. You have the ability to do an iframe, which if you don't know what iframe is, it's just basically inserting another website's information into this little portion of your site. Simple to do. And because I have that access through Real Geeks, I can do that. And I can show that this is all part of what's called a digital mayor strategy. Gary Vaynerchuk is who I give credit for because I heard it first from him. Now, I don't know if he borrowed that from somebody else, but I give Gary Vaynerchuk that glory. And it's being present wherever somebody finds your city. So, if you're good at one social media, consider trying to have a presence at least on other ones so that wherever somebody looks up your city, you're there and they find you. And, oh, you've recommended this cleaner and you've recommended that Italian place and whatever. And so it kind of ties together. Every entry, I have over 700 some odd entries on today's DFW now. It's been running over 5 years. And every one of them has a backlink that says, hey, if you like this restaurant and you want to live in Garland, click this link to go to Garland, Texas, Texas Pride Realty, and it shows you all the homes in Garland. So each of the sites kind of cross-reference each other.
Right.
Now, I can't do that in East Texas yet. I haven't done that in Austin, but in East Texas, what I did was I found a local news feed, and I framed the local news from the CBS station into East Texas. So at least you'll get a feel for, what's going on in the city, who's having a festival, stuff like that. So, that's kind of a sidestep solution because East Texas is a lot of ground to cover.
That's right.
But I'm trying to think about that for like Austin. What would do I do an Austin site? How do I do that?
There's a lot of people that would be willing to write you reviews in Austin.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of websites that have those sorts of feeds. So, maybe you and I should mastermind on like a combo effort there where you can have like the best of all of it. That sounds.
I think that'd be a really cool idea. But I would want the site if I had. And by the way, if you buy a URL like today's DFW, and you're thinking of expanding, go ahead and buy today's Houston, today's Austin, today's San Antonio, today. I own over 300 URLs. Some of them I use and some of them I just park. Some of them I have so that my competition can't have them. I may or may not use that vacant land someday, but I own the vacant land.
That's right.
And so if you're going to have a strategy that covers your state, go ahead and buy the other URLs so that people can't get them.
Well, I mean, and there's a side benefit to that as well, which is in recent years, Google has looked at like the age of a domain. And so, it might be worth it to buy those URLs, point them at an empty WordPress site, just so Google can see that like this website's been around for a while. And so that way, when you start development on it down the road, it's got a little bit more authority to it. Yeah, exactly. Because
would you do it as a redirect?
So I think just having the domain registered is kind of this first step. Okay. And then the second step would be, I would just point it at like a kind of blank WordPress site that says like, Houston today, type thing. And that way, at least there's something there. And so when content starts showing up, it doesn't look like a kind of spam site that came out of nowhere. It looks like, a project that just now got, wind behind it.
That's actually a very smart idea. You and I should absolutely workshop some of this stuff. And you started out by saying I'm playing a meta game, which I appreciate that. I don't know that I am. I'm just trying what I want to try to see what gets me responses. And
so let's talk about that. I mean, because how much of your like things that you're trying are backed by data versus backed by like instinct? Like, do you go into Google Analytics and obsess over which pages are getting what traffic and, or webmaster tools and look at that kind of stuff?
Yeah. No. I want to say I'm doing that, but I mean, I'll go check it later and see how it's doing.
Yeah.
But I go more by what I'm hearing and what my gut tells me. And also what's available. If it's in the IDX feed, why not throw out a site that's about mother-in-law plans? Why not throw out a site that's about corner lots? Why not throw out a site that's about homes with metal roofs or solar panels or pools or whatever? Just let's put some bait on that hook and throw it in the water.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll tell people I'm not an analytical and I have a chart that proves it, but I can play the analytical side of it. But I pretty much just go by what I'm hearing and what people are asking for.
Well, and I think that there's a lot of, guys like me get hung up on the data and like, is that working or isn't it working and that kind of thing. But, I like the entrepreneurial side of this where it's like, well, there was this data in the IDX. And so now let me build a page for it and see if people are searching for it. So another way, like, I mean, here's another thing or way that I've thought about this in the past is if you have ever typed a question into Google and not gotten a good response, then that's a page that you should create. So, I mean, you could probably interpret this another way. If a user has ever asked you or if a client has ever asked you a question and you thought to yourself, yeah, that's a decent question. like you probably should create a page for it, because you should either say, oh yeah, there's a web page for that, here it is, and also here's the answer.
Well, if you have, to your point, if you have like keywords everywhere, it'll, or anything that shows you what, you know, the trending keywords are, and you type in your city homes for sale, it will show you like 15 different varieties of that search. There will be things in there that you didn't think of, like spelling it in Spanish, like looking by the zip code. There are 400 zip codes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 400 and some odd. I've coded 150 so far. I just need a couple more holidays to be boring, and I can get the rest of them. Look at what the other ways of how people are searching for that. And it may be in there like homes with a pool, or, you know, homes with solar panels, or how close is Dallas to Houston? Okay, well, let's put a little answer to that, to your point, an answer on my question, you know, on your website. How close is Dallas to Houston? You know, 4 hours if you drive fast. So it's like, you know, or 1 hour on Southwest. It's literally that sort of thing that you may want to have on there. One thing I've been playing with, I don't know, so this is totally brand new. I have a coaching client who has a webcam on his front of his building he's in Colorado, and the webcam traffic gets him tons of traffic that sees his site. And I'm like, why don't I have a webcam in Dallas? And it's labeled as a weather cam because, you know, they get a lot of snow and people come ski in that part of Colorado. And I'm like, I should totally have a weather cam and just have it on my site. Or if I'm like Houston or Austin or whatever, embed other people's webcams and have a page that's tweaked to, here's all the traffic and webcams in my city, and I get the traffic for it.
I like that idea. And I would say either watermark the video feed, or like with a little thing like lower right, lower left, something like that, or make sure that it's pointed at both the, you know, awesome sky in Colorado with your billboard in the background.
Something that does that. But even if we're just approaching this from the 101 level, I mean, even if we can't figure out how to watermark or whatever, just get the traffic going.
Right.
Just get the word out there that, you know, here's all the traffic cams in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on one page. Here's all the views of Dallas-Fort Worth on one page. You know.
Well, and this is another point that's probably key for people, is it's a lot easier to figure out how to monetize a page that's got a bunch of traffic than it is to wish that you had a monetization model and have no traffic at all.
Right. So what if, and I'm just free thinking here, so what if the camera is, you know, like, let's say I've got I find a camera that's in downtown Dallas pointed at the skyline. Well, and here's a radius search of all the condos near that camera. You like this view? Want this view? Here's a radius search.
Yeah, totally.
Brilliant. We're coming up with more stuff.
Yeah, writing it down right there.
Pardon me while I steal that from myself.
That's why we have these conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the sort of thing that if you don't just kind of start extrapolating, how would people want to interact with my city? How would people, if you're moving to Tempe, Arizona, first of all, you're going to start looking at houses. I just picked a random city. You're going to start looking at the skyline. You're going to start figuring out what areas are good. If you have high school issues or college issues, whatever, you're going to start trying to strategize. If there was a site that had elements of your search laid out and lifestyle things laid out, that would be helpful to you, right?
Yeah. And you just sparked another thought as well for me, which was, you know, it's really clear that you think about your websites as living things that are constantly evolving. And I think that a lot of people think like, oh, I want my website chunk done. And I don't know if it's ever really done.
Oh, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. So to your point, I think people, they call, you know, Banana Website Company, and Banana Website Company gives them a website and they've churned out some pages and they leave it. And it's like building a new construction house that you never move into. You never put your furniture in, you never put art on the wall. Well, they built me a website and it's not bringing me any leads. You never got in there and got comfortable. Well, I don't know how to do that. Hire somebody who does, who can come decorate your house and put some furniture in it and put some carpets down and not make it echoey. And you can live in your house, because that house is going to be what's going to, the website, metaphoric jump here. The metaphor is that the website will be what brings you business long-term. Right. Anybody can build a crap site and force Google ads to bring people to it. And that's what 90% of what I find, or what I call blinker fluid sites. They get sold a lot of blinker fluid, and these sites are just, it's the Google ads forcing people to come to it. I had somebody tell me, well, I get, he had some astronomical number, like I get 450 organic people coming to my site a month, and he sent me his Google ad report to prove it. Dude, that's not organic.
Right.
You're literally, that's not what we're looking for.
Right. So I think that it's like, you know, again, we're kind of talking about like, this is almost an episode of contradictions. It's like, don't wait for your site to be done before you start using it. Right. Like, I think that's a big mistake, but at the same time, your website should never be done. So what we're saying there is like, you got to get in there and live it and start to deliver the value to the visitors. And so that's like maybe part 2 of this, which I would say, and like, I think you're getting at with like the like, are you forcing traffic there, or does the traffic want to come there? And, you know, I think that like there's a million real estate agents out there. So why are they choosing you? And real estate agents always talk about like their local knowledge and their expertise, and they can shepherd someone through the transaction and that kind of thing. Like, think about the unique proposition that your website is offering as well. Like, what is it delivering that is going to make people not just want to visit the first time, but to keep coming back?
Yeah. Sorry, you're giving me more ideas. I'm scribbling my paper. These end up being great collaborative idea sessions. What I got, you mentioned the Real Geeks Conference earlier, the unofficial Real Geeks Conference, which I had never heard the acronym pronounced. So whatever you said, that
ERGUC.
So,
yeah.
Because you said
I don't
that,
know if that should make it out in the wild, but there it is.
Yeah, okay. But one of the best things I got out of that was the sessions were interesting, but the collaboration we had sitting around a table or an adult beverage or whatever we were doing, and having that conversation where it sparks an idea where I can ask you, and you can come back the next morning and say, here's this, and we can be like, and I can sit there and talk to Mert or whoever, and like this whole new idea comes up that none of us were thinking. And the white piece of paper and the colored markers are just flying, and we're literally creating something that none of us thought of. That, to me, that creative process. And then I go home and code, and we come back and talk about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people are coming, or oh my gosh, that one didn't work. You know, that sort of thing, to me, the creative process, I don't think you can make analytics about that. That's all about the artist side. That's all about the artist, you know, like just throw paint at this and see what happens.
It's the spark. It's that early spark, right? You know, and you can't measure something that doesn't exist yet.
Right, exactly. And sometimes you have to make the mistake. You know, penicillin was found by mistake. Right? Penicillin was found by mistake. Let's make some glorious mistakes. You know, let's just make some glorious mistakes and then fix them.
That's right.
When I threw out, like, my biggest page every month, usually month over month, is mother-in-law plans. I had no idea that so many people wanted to be in multi-generational houses. And I was trying to be PC at the time, and I didn't call it mother-in-law. I named it like en-suite, second suite sort of house. It didn't rank. Nothing happened. And I finally looked at the Google Trends, and it was like very clear mother-in-law. And as soon as I changed it, boom. So it's that sort of test and release, see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, game the system a little bit.
Well, I mean, and this is that kind of, you and I have talked about this a little bit before, where like one of my favorite pieces of marketing advice is you should attract and not repel. And so frequently, like, there's ways to phrase things where it attracts people, but doesn't, you know, turn off the other side, right? Like, whatever the other side is. I
don't always follow that rule.
I, however, think that you're good at it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. I am in a very diverse community, and we stand up for our community. And if that pisses people off, they're not my client anyway. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think that's the right move.
Yeah. But that said, I'm not going to walk across the street and slap somebody. I'm just going to, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm not going to walk on stage and slap Chris Rock. I'm just going to say, you know, hey, wish you wouldn't have said that. Thank you. You know. But yeah. Now, I mean, what's his name is going to come after me.
Excellent. So, I mean, in this vein, like, so you've started two new websites, and has there been any like big learnings yet where you've been like, okay, I went down this path and they were dead ends?
I don't think I've run into any dead ends yet. I've actually grown and learned some new stuff as far as the advertising. I've grown into the Bing places
Mhm.
and the Microsoft ads. And I'm not a Microsoft person. I'm not a Microsoft as a company. I don't like them that much. But everybody is so Google focused. And like 4 years ago, we were all Facebook focused.
Yep.
Everybody was running Facebook ads. And then Facebook got in a squabble with HUD and Facebook ads became rubbish and everybody ran to Google. What's going to happen when something happens to Google? And I'm not wishing anything ill on them. I'm just saying, what's going to happen? So let's go ahead and strategize on being on Bing and Apple, because Apple Maps is a player now. Bing just bought ChatGPT, and that's going to be a major change in search dynamics. And we don't know. People are saying search is dead. It's not dead. We just got to grow with it. Don't tell me all these industries are in search or it's going to be dead. It's not going to be dead. So we've got to be on kind of not quite the bleeding edge, but right next to it. And so I got everybody, all my coaching clients into ChatGPT early. And there's another one I like called Write Sonic, because ChatGPT will overwhelm and it doesn't let you in. Write Sonic is a paid site, and it's actually current to date versus data as of 2021. And I don't know if ChatGPT fixed that yet, but they were like only had data up to 2021. So, and that led me into looking at what other search engines are out there. Somebody hit me online and they were like, well, Bing is only 5% of searches. I'm like, there's 5% people aren't fighting for.
That's right.
I can live off that 5%. I don't need I'll take that 5%, because if your great uncle or your grandpa goes to the store and buys a Windows computer, he doesn't know to go download Chrome. So Chrome's going to, Bing is going to take him to the Bing search engine. I'm sorry, Microsoft Edge is going to take him to the Bing search engine. He's going to live in a Microsoft environment. They're not going to know to go out to Google.
This is a thing that, I was thinking earlier when you were talking about the mother-in-law suite, it's like whether it's the language they're using or the search engine they're using, you got to kind of meet people where they are, right? Yeah. They're not going to change to do business with you. You need to like go out and capture them where they're at.
Right. So I'm running $7 a day Bing ads over the Austin and the East Texas site and getting traffic and getting leads signed up. Now, one thing I discovered is I was looking at Yahoo and DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo is getting popular because people don't want to be followed. If I look up raincoats, I don't want to see raincoats on every website I go to for the next 3 hours. So Bing is actually the advertising partner for Yahoo and DuckDuckGo. So your ad will appear not just on one, but the other two subordinate or separate sites. I shouldn't say subordinate, separate sites. So why not be in all the fields at once rather than just being the dominant one? Nothing against Google, it's great. And I still run my real leads and it's drawing in a lot for the Texas Pride site. But for these other sites, I just wanted to play and see what was happening. And so when you're talking about where there are any dead ends, no, I think there's just more avenues of opportunity that there's only one of Bob and I can't like go test all of them at once.
Right. Well, so I think that this is also another good tip, which is, you were talking about the sort of the wrong way to use paid ads, where it's kind of like you're forcing people down a funnel they don't want to go. But the right way to use paid ads, especially in a long tail situation, is to test. So usually it takes a long time for organic rankings to like build up. But you want to know in advance if that page is going to convert or if that page is going to deliver the value that it needs to deliver. So you can point paid traffic at it, get some energy going in advance, and get some learnings back. And right. So if you find out like, oh no, that's not going to work,
But and here's the thing. Let's say you create a page for. I'm just going to pick on something. We create a page for Tampa, Florida, and it's all about homes with green walls. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to discover green walls aren't popular in Tampa, Florida. Okay, so we just leave that page there. It's not going to do any damage. Create a page about Tampa, Florida that's about red walls. Oh, that's much more popular. We're not charging a lot of money to have an extra page. We're not taking up that much space on the internet to make a mistake like that. Just go try it and have a page for red, green, purple walls and see what really does work.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, you're not wasting a ton of money and you're not wasting a ton of materials in life. This is not something that's going to end up in the landfill. This is just trying things. And here's the other thing: if you made a page in Tampa about green walls and it was like the stupidest thing in the world, odds are no one's going to see it.
That's
No
right.
one is
Yeah.
going to see it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no one looks at it. That's sort of like how you can, hide the stuff that you don't want people to see at the bottom of the page because no one will scroll down. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, and there's somebody in Tampa screaming right now about his green walls and how I'm pissing him off. So yeah, this would be great.
Hey, I mean, if you could build an audience around it, more power to you.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so how did you decide which other geographies, because you've mentioned basically all the border states except for maybe, or all the border states around Texas except for maybe Oklahoma. So was it partnership based that led you into those geographies, or did you have like a strategic thought on why
No,
you were?
it's partnership based. Nick Herzog is one of my friends and a coaching client and a fellow coach, and he's amazing. Hi, Nick. He has a site that's in Shreveport, Bossier City, which is right across the border.
Yep.
And we were at the conference. I was like, dude, get in the car, drive over here. You're coming to the conference. And he grumbled about it, but he got in the car and came over. And we had a great session about, oh my gosh, we should do this. And so I'm coding his site in Shreveport, Bossier City. He's also, I think, doing the real leads on those. He's got a great person who does the calls. Inside sales rep. Sorry, words just flew out of my head. Yep. He's got a great ICA who's helping, and now I've hired that ICA as well to follow up on leads. And so we were sitting there talking about other cities in Texas. Now in Texas, it's easy. It's going to be Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Houston are our biggest hits. Ancillary hits will then be San Antonio, Amarillo, maybe Corpus Christi, things like that. Galveston and Houston, same MLS. But we started to chart out where are our centers of population. Where do we need to go next? El Paso will probably be one that we look at. But then we had Nick right across the line, and he's got, Shreveport, Bossier City. He's got New Orleans, but there's Baton Rouge and Lafayette. That's the one I forgot, Lafayette. So there's opportunity there. Why not just, throw a little bit of money at this? Maybe we don't have Starbucks this week. I don't know. And we see if we can draw people in. And referral money is the best money because I didn't have to go out and show the house.
There you go.
So if I can get enough referral deals coming back in, this will just cash neutral. And until it grows, and then once it grows, it'll be cash positive. It's kind of like it's like owning an investment property that you never have to go maintain and you never have to find new tenants for. You just keep the property maintain, update the keywords and metadata every once in a while, once a year, and let the property grow.
So when you, I guess you said this guy was coaching client. When you are thinking about like people that you want to partner with, is it people that have similar skills to you or like different skills to you, and especially, or maybe you can even change it. Like, if you're at the conference and you're masterminding, like who are you looking to get in a room with? Who are you looking to get into business with? Have you ever thought about that?
Not to that point. Nick and Leslie is my business manager for Texas Pride in Houston. He can think on the levels of technology, but he's much better at other skill sets. And Nick is much better at other skill sets that I'm not good at. I don't necessarily need somebody to be at my skill level at IT, but I'm not good at certain things too. I almost need somebody to be the counter me, because otherwise, why am I necessary? And I'm really good at kind of that artistic, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what it looks like.
Right.
And then I need somebody who's good at executing after I throw the spaghetti at the wall. Okay, now that this system is in place, what needs to underpin it? How does it tie back in? What are we doing? So as I'm looking at who I want to be in the room with, I can get inspiration from almost anybody, pretty much. Some of the other developers there, I was listening to what they were saying and going, oh, okay, I like that. I don't like that. We'll see. That seems really hard. That seems really easy. I don't know if I've got a good answer to your question, but mostly I would say I need somebody who's got the other skills I lack. Right. And frankly, I need somebody who has a license in another state I don't have to go get. if I want to work with somebody in Oklahoma, I don't want to go get an Oklahoma license to own a Real Geek site. If you're in Oklahoma and if you're in Oklahoma and you have a Real Geek site, call me, and then we can collaborate.
There
Sorry, I
you
didn't
go.
mean to turn
Right.
this into a commercial.
And I think you answered the question the way that I was hoping you would, because I see this, both in real estate, where it's like people want to buddy up, like you're a rock star sales guy and they want to buddy up with the other rock star sales guy, but you need that like other piece of the puzzle, and it's like, I see that in the marketing world as well. It's like the creative guys gotta have the matching puzzle piece of the analytical guy to form the full package.
Right. I mean, and the people I'm working with, very high ethics, very high, very driver personalities. I can hand a lead to any of them, and I know that lead's going to be followed up on and closed, which is the number one thing almost everybody fails at, is follow up. And no matter which system you have, the follow up is the key.
Can we dig into your referral model for a little bit? So I'm curious, is it like when you do you get paid like when the lead gets handed off, or do you get paid at closing?
Get paid at closing, 25%.
Okay. So you're very invested
Yeah.
in what happens in through the life of that lead.
Yeah. So I want to be sure that it gets handled. We've got some standards and some metrics that are agents and now we're talking specifically Texas Pride agents right now. We've implemented some new standards. If they want to stay in the lead system, they have to make a certain number of phone calls, texts, chats, emails a week. And one of the great things is, let's say somebody opts out of they don't want to have any more phone calls. Doesn't mean they don't want emails. If they opt out of emails, it doesn't mean they don't want chats. Now, here's the thing about Real Geeks, which is really cool, and I'm going to shine them up a minute. You can leave a chat for somebody so that when they log back in, the little chat pops up and says, "Hey, Chris, I know you didn't want any phone calls, but I want to let you know 123 Banana Street's on sale over here, and here's a link." So even if they opt out of that other communication, by the way, when they give us their data, they're opting in, because the terms of service are at the bottom and the opt-in is implicit there. So when it's explicit there. So when they opt out of things, you can still chat them. And that's not something every site has. That little chatbot is amazing. So we do have a certain number of criteria that the agents have to fulfill. If they don't, then there's punitive measures. They're thrown out of the leads for a while, and we redistribute. And I'm also working with different lenders to try to get them to, hey, as we're getting more sites, I'm going to have more leads for the lenders. Let's collaborate on the costs here a little bit and make this work.
Do you use the Real Geeks program where you can split costs with lenders?
No, we just handle it ourselves. Yeah.
Got it.
Up until this very moment, I didn't know that was a thing. Why don't we delve into that, Chris? Tell me a little bit about that.
You can split costs with lenders.
Interesting. No, I'd rather handle it myself.
Yeah, and it's all compliant.
Yeah. So yeah, there are some strategies there to be sure that the leads get closed. And there's two elements of this. It's the attraction, which is what I'm great at, and it's the closing the leads, which Leslie is in charge of. My business manager is in charge of, being sure those get worked in. And so I can focus purely on the IDX strategies, and he can focus purely on the follow-ups. And it's been a good handoff situation,
I think that's probably why I was thinking, or the line of thought was like, who do you choose to partner with, and building your business model around that and making sure that the client gets taken care of, because you're essentially laying down a value proposition on the website, and you want to make sure that gets delivered
exactly when
the person's interacting.
I'm taking the sales funnel. I'm taking care of the top two tiers of the sales funnel: attraction and decision making. From there, they've got to make it where they actually flow through to become a client and go into retention. So
excellent. Bob, I think we're getting close to an hour, and producer Sean tells me that that's about the cutoff point for people's attention. This has been some seriously good stuff. Anything else you want to add? Last minute thoughts?
No, I even though I've been doing this for a while, I think I'm only at the beginning of what I'm going to be doing with it. I think there's so much more that we can unfold, and we haven't even thought of it yet. And yes, search is changing, but we have something in our systems that the competitors don't have. And I've reviewed like 36 different brands of these websites. Some of them have elements of what we have, but we have everything we need. and it's competitively priced. Please don't change that. And it's the best for SEO and for organic.
Yeah.
And I'll just repeat myself. If you want a site that any schmo can throw a Google ad against, pay more. That's your prerogative. But if you want a site that people are just going to naturally come to, and you're going to have a legacy business you can sell someday and retire, then you want to be in a position that has the tools to do that. And this is where we are.
I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, we do. The price is definitely core to our value proposition, and won't be changing. And yeah, we don't actually talk a lot about the SEO side because it is harder for people to understand that it is a longer term game that requires effort. And so that's why I like talking to guys like you that can really talk about, the way that it's done and the way that you make that website the living, breathing thing that it needs to be successful.
Think about it this way. If you are an investor in housing, let's put it in real estate terms. If you're an investor in housing and you want to have a rental property that you will have, for years and then sell later to pay for your kids' college, that's what we're doing here. We're setting up these investment properties. These websites are investment properties, and we're just keeping them going over the years and changing the paint color here and there. But it will be something later if you attract organic traffic to it that you can have equity in. And if you just have an investment property that you're just running Google ads against, you don't have equity. What you have is Google ads. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. That's literally it.
That is a killer thought that we should just end it right there on. How can people find you?
You can find me at texaspriderealty.com and Bob McCranie at gmail.com. And just type in my name anywhere you want to, and I will pop up, and you'll find all.
You mean the SEO guy ranks for his own name?
Yay! I better. I better. But no, I mean, and look me up. I'm happy to chat with anybody.
Awesome, Bob. It's been excellent as always. We should rename this episode Fireside Chat.
I hope I didn't spit out way too much too fast, but yeah.
No, this is excellent. This is excellent. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. If we're still recording this and it doesn't get edited out, hit that subscribe button and the like button, and we'll talk to you later. All right.